I love a good proverb. I love that every culture has their own set of proverbs that encapsulate so much wisdom in just a few sentences. So much information, if almost like reading a whole entire book or watching a whole lecture. And one of my favourite in the English language is from the 12th century or perhaps even older, which states that you may lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink.
Remember the old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be lead.
For me, hidden in this simple proverb is so much information and wisdom, which can help us guide and navigate people around us as well as our own understanding of ourselves. Our first, beliefs and assumptions. The second portion, I believe, is talking about our lower nature. And thirdly, how that ties together in the capacity to support and nurture those around us. If we was to replace the water with information, with knowledge, with wisdom, and the horse to be a human being, another animal in its lowest vibration, well, outside of human beings in their essence being idiotic when it comes to the face of new information, of new wisdom, of new knowledge, it also can represent the stubbornness. A lot of people get from this proverb that it's talking about the idiocracy of people, and sometimes they don't know what's best for them and they will do what people will do. And I think there is definitely an element in that proverb to explain this. However, if you look a little bit deeper, I feel that the stubbornness of the horse, or the human in this case, to refuse to drink or to not acknowledge the fact that it has been brought to water is really the key focus on it. Who led this horse to the water? What is their expectations and their relationship to it? So if you are the person that has taken this horse through the desert, through the forest, through the wilderness, and you've found this water source that is going to nourish and is going to benefit this animal, and in its stubbornness, in its unwillingness to acknowledge potentially that you've gone all this way to produce and find this water for them, they are not interested. And who is left then in that accountability or responsibility state? And I've always taken it's really a metaphor or a story about how sometimes we cannot take something or someone that is stubborn and without the will or disposition to want to have the initial volition to change, to do something different. No matter how much you lead them there and you take them right to the source and you place them in front of the thing that they very much could benefit or they need, it's not up to you whether they do it or not. And this is probably one of the most painful lessons that anyone with a supportive background, whether that's vocationally in work or whether that's in relationships, that people struggle with. They think that supporting in essence is leading that horse to the water and getting frustrated or getting annoyed or taking it almost as a dig towards themselves as to why the fuck is this horse not drinking? Is it aware of how hard I've dragged it through all this terrain to place it right in front of it and it's refusing to drink? How frustrating can that be? So I think that really it's speaking about not only the stubbornness of human behaviour, that at our worst, even we're presented with good ideas, life-changing epiphanies, good guidance, good wisdom, coming from a good place, that sometimes we can be so stubborn and ignorant to that change, maybe because of our own beliefs, maybe because of our own assumptions, that we refuse to see what's in front of our face. Now, do we blame the animal of the horse and say, oh, it's the fucking horse's fault, useless, you have to drink? You can't make it drink. Just as you cannot make someone who is unwilling or has no volition of their own to change or partake in something they do not wish to do so. And that can be very frustrating, not to the horse because the horse isn't thirsty. It's more frustrating to the owner or the person that led the horse there. And because of this very reason, people know this proverb because it's fucking been around for so many years, yet we still act against it and become frustrated when we're supporting or engaging with people around them. If they only do what we want them to do, then they'll be alright. If they just stop and saw it the way that I see it, then they would appreciate the situation. However, that's one of the most painful lessons that you can experience engaging with someone else. You cannot force someone to have a lesson. You can't force that horse to drink. If it is stubborn and its will, stubborn via will, is refusing to do so, it's not a wasted journey, but it's wasted if you think that you can change that just by bringing them there. So as a personal trainer, if I was to really think, right, my clients have to get results. I want all my clients to come and see me, whether it's muscle gain or weight loss. I want them to achieve their goals. And if they don't achieve their goals, it's a complete reflection on me. Well, there is some truth to that, right? My skills, my knowledge, my aptitude as a coach is one aspect to the working relationship. But the most important other part of the working relationship is the individual that I'm working with. And if in that time working together, they exhibit those principles of being as stubborn as a mule, they refuse to do the extra work that's associated to this journey, i.e. follow the nutritional principles.
What you doing, man? What you doing, man? What I told you? What I told you? You can't eat that, man. We just get for training. I've been driving behind you for 1 hour. You can't stay committed for 1 hour.
Keep active throughout the week, get the sleep, all the yada 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 stuff we know over and over again. If they don't adhere to that and they refuse to engage with that by their own stubbornness or lack of will, or maybe stubborn demonstration of will, it's not a reflection of me. Drag horse! It doesn't mean it's going to drink. And you can take an apathetic approach to this, where it's like, fucking horse doesn't want to drink, useless, just starve, whatever, just completely starve and just completely famished because you're not clever enough to realise there's water in front of you. Or you can kind of take an empathetic approach in the sense that it's not a reflection on you and that some people are stubborn. And sometimes it takes that horse or the stubbornness of that animal to be so parched to the point where severe dehydration has kicked in, where they soon then realise that they need a drink. And you see this with individuals where if they're on the precipice, maybe they are abusing their body in some way or abusing their mind in some way, and they're not seeing those small stop signs over time. Oftentimes life then gives them one big thing that makes them put the brakes on and think, right, now I need to change. Now I need a drink. If you are someone in a care capacity, someone who is working with individuals, I think the most really profitable thing that you could learn is trying to understand their world and really ascertain what is the motive or what is the reasons behind this refusal to take action. Then maybe over time you might be able to elicit some form of conditioning, some form of influence and suggestion, or at least foster an environment that gives the horse permission to take action or to take a drink. And clearly, obviously, there's two verbs that stand out in this proverb, in this sentence. You've got the first one, which is the led or leading, taking someone by the reins and helping them move forward, directing them, so to speak. And the second portion is the actual action of drinking and taking from that well. You may still take that position of action to lead, but you cannot force the action or to drink or to take part or to nourish from it. It can manifest in working relationship for those that work with people, or this can happen in relationships. So many times individuals will take a caregiving approach in a relationship and maybe form some kind of trauma bond with an individual that needs that support, that needs to be led. And over time, when they need to be led to that water, one will take on a very definitive role of trying to support the other in order to take action, whether that's to take action about maybe their confidence, their anxiety, their depression, things within their life that they've vocalized that they're not happy with. And one side of that relationship is really encouraging and trying to lead this person to the water, to action, to change. And there is some form of deep rooted refusal or stubbornness or maybe even capacity to want to change at its grassroots level. So it can make it a very toxic and very frustrating form of relationship, but not too uncommon in the modern world. Is that your responsibility, or is that more of a reflection of that lower nature of us as individuals? That all of us to some regard can have the next door, the other side of this wall, being everything we ever wanted, all the change we want to see, all the information that we yearn for, but yet we will still stay the other side of the door because of our ignorance, maybe because of our misunderstanding or our misguided intentions, maybe because of our beliefs and our assumptions. So I think there's so much layers to this one proverb that can give you respite if you're someone supporting someone, and acknowledging that sometimes there's only so much you can do without some form of self-volition being involved. And lastly, it has so much again to do with how we engage with other people. So if you are someone that's trying to lead a horse to water, remember your job at the moment you got the horse there is done. All you can do is maybe pat it on the back and stroke its hair, because you cannot force it to drink.
9 days I let the horse run free, 'cause the desert had turned